When the contract arrived, I thought it was a joke. I was a nobody, Ethan Cole, third-generation colonist on Dustfall 9, a planet so poor even the stars looked tired above it. Our crops failed twice a year. Pirates skimmed our supply routes, and Earth had long stopped caring. Then one day, the colonial authority sent me an offer marked urgent interspecies diplomatic union. The deal was simple, ridiculous even. Marry an alien representative. In return, Dustfall 9 would receive protection, technology, and permanent trade rights. No name, no image, just a clause that said identity classified for diplomatic stability. I laughed. Then I checked the signatures. 12 galactic seals, species I'd only read about in restricted files. This wasn't a scam. You're desperate, my sister said quietly. And so are we. She was right, I signed. 2 weeks later, a ship descended from the sky like a falling star, sleek, black, and carved with symbols that hurt to look at for too long. The entire colony gathered at the landing pad, soldiers, officials, farmers, everyone holding their breath. The ramp lowered. She stepped out. Humanoid mostly, tall, graceful, skin like polished obsidian dusted with faint silver light. Her eyes weren't just eyes, they were galaxies, slow spinning and ancient. She wore no crown, no visible weapon, just a simple white robe trimmed in gold. This was my bride. She walked straight toward me, ignoring the armed guards and terrified officials. When she stopped, the air itself seemed to bow. "I am Aurelia Nix Valaris," she said, her voice calm, warm, and terrifying. "By covenant law, I am now your wife." Behind her, every alien delegation present, warriors, diplomats, beings of pure energy, knelt. Whispers exploded across the pad. "Queen, Empress, the one who commands stars." My knees almost gave out. Later, alone in the ceremonial chamber, I finally found my voice. You're royalty?" She tilted her head, amused. "I am the queen of the unified expanse, supreme authority over 13,000 systems." I stared at her. "Then why me?" She stepped closer, close enough that I could feel warmth radiating from her. "Because humanity is underestimated," she said softly. "And because you, Ethan Cole, were the only human who signed the contract without asking for power." I swallowed. "What happens now?" Aurelia smiled, a smile that had ended wars. "Now," she said, "the galaxy learns what happens when humans stop being small." I didn't sleep that night. How could I? I was married to a being who ruled more stars than humans had ever named. Outside the palace dome, alien warships hovered in silent orbit, each one capable of wiping Dustfall 9 off the map. And they were here. For me. For us. At dawn, Aurelia stood beside the balcony, gazing at the rising sun like it was an old friend. "This world is fragile," she said, "but it has something rare." "Bad soil?" I muttered. She smiled slightly. "Defiance." Before I could respond, alarms echoed through the colony. Red lights flashed. Colonial guards rushed in, weapons raised. "Pirate fleet detected!" An officer shouted. "Same raiders as last season. 3 cruisers." I felt my stomach drop. Those pirates had slaughtered entire settlements before. We barely had defenses. Aurelia turned calmly, too calmly. "May I?" she asked. I blinked. "May you what?" She stepped forward and raised one hand. The air rippled. The ceiling became transparent, revealing space itself. The pirate ships were visible now, ugly, rusted things charging weapons. Aurelia's eyes glowed. She spoke a single word. I didn't understand it, but the universe did. Space folded. The pirate cruisers froze mid-orbit, their engines screaming silently. Then, one by one, they collapsed inward. Crushed by invisible force, reduced to glowing dust. No explosion, no debris, just gone. Every human in the room stood frozen. I whispered, "You just erase them." She lowered her hand. "They will trouble you no more." News spread like wildfire. By noon, Dustfall 9 wasn't just a forgotten colony. It was protected territory of the Queen of the Unified Expanse. But that wasn't the end. That evening, Aurelia summoned a galactic council session from our colony. The greatest powers in the galaxy appeared as holograms, insectoid warlords. AI collectives, energy beings older than Earth. They all looked at me. "This human," Aurelia announced, "is my consort." "His species is under my direct protection." A sneering delegate laughed. "Humans are weak, short-lived, irrelevant." I felt heat rise in my chest. Fear turned into something else. Anger. I stepped forward. "We are weak because you never let us be strong," I said. You ignored us, exploited us, but we survive, we adapt. Give us time, and we'll stand beside you." The chamber went silent. Aurelia's smile returned, brighter than before. "Precisely," she said. "Humans endure what others break under. They build families on dead worlds. They fight gods with empty hands." She placed her hand on my shoulder. "Which is why," she declared, "humanity will now be elevated. Technology, education, military parity." Gasps echoed across the council. I realized then, this marriage wasn't about saving my colony. It was about changing the balance of the galaxy. And humanity was no longer small. The galaxy didn't accept humanity's rise quietly. 3 days after the council session, Aurelia's war strategists filled the palace chamber, beings of steel, light and flesh arguing in voices that shook the walls. A coalition had formed, old empires, fearful powers, species that had ruled for millennia and suddenly felt threatened. "They call it the Stability Alliance," Aurelia said calmly. "A polite name for panic." I looked at the hologram of the enemy fleet. Thousands of ships, planet crackers, reality-piercing weapons. My hands clenched. "They're coming because of me." "No," Aurelia corrected gently. "They're coming because humans remind them of what they once were, small, hungry, and dangerous." The first battle began above Dustfall 9. The sky burned. Alien warships tore into orbit, firing beams that split the atmosphere. The colony's shields, new ones gifted only hours earlier, flickered but held. Humans manned the defense platforms, hands shaking, hearts pounding. Yet no one ran. I stood beside Aurelia on the command deck. "Order them to retreat," I said. "You could end this instantly." She studied me. "And teach humanity to rely on a god forever?" I understood then. "This is our test," I said. She nodded. Human pilots launched for the first time in ships that rivaled galactic standards. They weren't perfect. They weren't elegant. But they were stubborn. When systems failed, they rerouted manually. When comms were jammed, they used line-of-sight signals and old military hand codes. The enemy didn't expect that. A human frigate, crippled and burning, rammed straight into an Alliance dreadnought's command core. Another squad used jury-rigged engines to slingshot around a moon and strike from below shield range, something only a species used to improvisation would try. Casualties were heavy, but the Alliance hesitated. And hesitation was fatal. Aurelia finally stepped forward, eyes blazing like newborn stars. "Enough." She didn't destroy the fleet. She stopped time around it. Every ship frozen, every weapon locked mid-fire. She broadcast across the galaxy. "Observe." Her voice echoed everywhere. "This is humanity. Untrained, newly armed, and still standing against your combined might." Time resumed. The Alliance retreated. Silence followed. Then cheers, raw, broken human cheers. Later, in the quiet aftermath, I sat with Aurelia beneath the stars. "You risked everything," I said. She rested her head against my shoulder. "So did you when you signed that contract." "What happens now?" I asked. She smiled softly. "Now humanity becomes a power," she said. "Not because of me, but because the galaxy finally fears what humans can become when someone believes in them." I looked at the stars, no longer distant. For the first time they felt reachable. Power doesn't arrive with thunder. It arrives with silence, when the galaxy starts listening. Dustfall 9 was no longer called by that name. Star charts now marked it as New Dawn, a protected Nexus world. Alien freighters lined up for trade. Human banners flew beside symbols older than Earth itself. And me? I was still Ethan Cole, still human. But now every eye followed me. Not all of them with respect. The assassination attempt came during a Unity summit. Dozens of species, thousands of years of history in one hall. Aurelia stood on the central dais, radiant and calm. I felt the danger a heartbeat before it happened. Reality rippled. A blade slid out of thin air, humming with phase energy designed to kill gods. Instinct took over. I twisted, grabbed nothing, then something solid slammed into my palm. I yanked hard. The assassin screamed as we crashed to the floor. The blade skidded away, carving a glowing scar into the metal. Guards rushed in. The room erupted. The attacker spat at me. "You're fragile. This era will end with you." I leaned close. "Humans don't end eras," I said quietly. "We start them." Aurelia rose. The temperature dropped. Not cold, still. Power pressed down like gravity itself. She didn't strike. Instead, she spoke one word. Truth. The assassin's political shields collapsed. Hidden allegiances were torn open for all to see. 3 noble houses, ancient powers terrified of change. Let history record this, Aurelia said. Any harm to my consort or his species is an act of total war. No one challenged her. Later, alone beneath the stars, I faced her. You could have stopped it before it happened, I said. Yes. Why didn't you? She studied me carefully. Because you must never be seen as fragile. Not by them. Not by yourself. I exhaled slowly. You're turning me into a symbol. She stepped closer. No. You already were one. I'm simply letting the galaxy notice. Human advancement exploded. Training academies paired humans with ancient warriors. Engineers fused alien precision with human improvisation. Our ships weren't elegant, but they adapted, learned, survived. Then the message arrived. A signal from beyond known space, older than Aurelia's crown. The Queen has broken the balance. The human error will be corrected. For the first time, Aurelia looked uneasy. Who are they, I asked. The First Imperials, she said softly. The ones who believe the galaxy must never change. I clenched my fists. Then they've never met humans. Aurelia smiled, proud, dangerous, hopeful. The old rulers were waking, and humanity was no longer standing behind a queen. We were standing beside her,